Hello there and a very warm welcome to another edition of the program. I'm Victor Matthias. The Buhari-led federal government since inception has restated its drive to fight corruption, purge the system of corrupt officials, and putting behind bars those involved in corrupt practices. And that's where our focus will be today on the program, and we will also take a look at how far the government has gone in implementing the SDG agreement it joined other countries to sign last year. But let's take a minute and see what was trending online in the past week. A total of 265 people were killed in an attempted coup that played out in Turkey. People took to the streets of Istanbul, lining the sides of major roads and holding the red and white Turkish flag in support of the civilian government and against the coup attempt. At least 84 people have died, including several children, after a lorry drove into a crowd celebrating Bastille Day in the southern French city of Nice. The driver plowed through the Bastille Day crowd for 2 kilometers on the Promenade d'Anglais at about 11 p.m. local time before being shot dead by the police. Well, there you go. Those were the major online headlines in the past week. Joining me now to look at the Buhari-led administration's fight against corruption is a multimedia journalist who joins us from Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, Sonny Kiri, a chemist who joins us from Iowa in the United States, Adamu Nkore, a doctoral researcher at the Manufacturing Informatics Department of Cranfield University, Oke Okorie, and a doctoral candidate at the Political Science Department of University of Otago, Olumuyiwa Amao. He joins us from Dunedin in New Zealand. Thank you to all of you for coming. Muyiwa, let me start with you now. What can you tell us about the anti-corruption fight in the country so far?
Starting from the first issue, I think the presidency, President Muhammad Buhari now is trying to fulfill his campaign promise, or promises as it were, vis-a-vis his aggressive approach towards tackling corruption. That is very commendable. Where I have a problem is the parochial nature of this crusade itself. We have seen over the last couple of months, incessantly, continuously, the presidency has been trying to clip the wings of those in quotes who, unfortunately or fortunately, found themselves in the opposition in the last dispensation. Why no one has a problem with that 100%? Because even if you were not in the opposition, or even if you were in the opposition, if you didn't steal our yam in quotes, you have no reason to fear, as the president would always like to say. But what I find disturbing is a trend over the last couple of weeks where we have seen people arguing that prominent members of this cabinet have also soiled their hands. And we have seen a deliberate attempt from the presidency, in quotes, or those who have been saddled with this responsibility, to shield these characters. It's annoying for me because I have always been a strong advocate of this presidency. All through the campaign period, some of us put pen into paper to push forward for a Muhammadu Buhari presidency. I'm yet to be convinced that this presidency is fair or neutral in its approach against corruption. And I'll give you specifically just one issue. Very recently, we saw the arms audit report released by the committee that was set up by the presidency. And just yesterday, while I was surfing the net, I saw that the terms of reference of that committee was that the committee had the responsibility to look at all arms procurement and purchases from 2007 down to 2015. During that period, the current Chief of Army Staff, General Burutai, was heading the formation in Port Harcourt, and he was at some point in time saddled with the responsibility of procuring some of these arms. During that particular point in time also, particularly between 2007 or 2008 to 2010, the current Minister of Interior, General Dan Bazao, was also involved at the top echelon of Nigeria's military in terms of those who purchases what and when and what ammunitions. But we have seen, quite unfortunately, the presidency, in person of the government spokesperson, Alhaji Lai Muhammad, telling Nigerians that the terms of reference of that committee was just from 2011 to 2015. Just yesterday, Premium Times released the report, and I have copies of those reports here, where it was specifically written that that committee looked at reports from 2007 to 2015.
I would like to talk about specifically about fighting corruption. And I think to do justice to this administration, it's important that we take apart that question, fighting corruption. I think it has some couple moving parts, particularly two. One is fighting corruption, and then two, preventing corruption from happening. In terms of fighting corruption right now, in trying to prosecute, go after people that are deemed to have stolen before, I think, like OK said, I will give the present administration some credit to doing that.
It's actually Olumuyiwa.
Oh, sorry, Olumuyiwa. Sorry, thank you for the correction. So I would say in terms of going after people who have stolen before, I think the administration deserve a credit. However, Victor, in terms of preventing corruption from happening, I don't think that is happening. It's not only happening in the presidency, it's not happening among the people that have the power to do that, like the National Assembly, the State House Assemblies. So what do I mean exactly by preventing corruption from happening? I'm sure many people out there might have their own ways that they think this is, that they think it's how to prevent corruption from happening. But in my own opinion, Victor, there is nothing going on right now that would tell me that in the future, whether President Muhammad Buhari is in power or not, corruption will stop. Nothing. I have seen nothing.
All right. If you say you've seen nothing, what will you be suggesting?
The only thing that would make me believe that there is kind of a structure in place to prevent corruption from happening is when we structure the system. And to be specific, Victor, we structure this system to introduce efficiency in the system. Efficiency will reduce corruption to the minimum, to the barest minimum, to the barest humanly minimum. And what do I mean by introducing efficiency into the system, Victor? This is what I mean. You take away powers and give it to the people that would best and most efficiently deliver that. And by power, I mean the public goods and services. Police is a public service. Education is a public goods / service. You take away that power and you give it to the level of government that will best serve, that will best carry out that function. Once you do that, what you have done is the money that should go into, like for example, police, would go into police. It won't be stolen. And you can only achieve that, efficiency through restructuring, Victor.
Well, I think, in my opinion, I think that the fight against corruption has not gone as deep as I would have wanted it to have gone. The president came in on this, he rode on this wave of fighting corruption, and even for those people who did not support him, they gave him the benefit of the doubt due to the rhetorics, due to the nuances, and due to the whole, precedents that he came with, the antecedents. I beg your pardon. But we have seen that his idea of fighting corruption, good as it may be, I think it's quite it can act as a deterrent, going after people that have shared the funds from the Nigerian coffers. I do not think that that's enough to for long-term sustainability.
All right, just hold it for a minute. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back shortly.